We're going to pick up around line 115 or so. But just real briefly, before we do that, two different orders, okay, of the plays to keep in mind. Sophocles was born around 496 BC, died 406 BC. Lived during the height of the Athenian city-state and its collapse when it was conquered by Sparta. I mentioned the other day he wrote over 120 plays. I think the exact number is 123. 7 of those survive. These are all written for the festival of all over here. All written for the festival of Dionysius in Athens, religious festival. I was just reading in this edition of the plays. The theater that they would have been performed at held, I'm not going to look it up again, somewhere between 14 to 18,000 people. Okay, it's an outdoor amphitheater, right? It's huge. Football stadium almost size. So, when he writes these, Antigone's the first one he writes, sometime around 442, right? Then Oedipus the king, after 430 BC, so 12 years later. And then Oedipus at Colonus, the final story in the trilogy of sorts, or as it is. That's not produced until after he's dead, for some reason. Not sure why. The Oedipus. The order of the plays, though, in terms of the world of the plays, right, begins with Oedipus the king, right, because that's where we get, kind of backstory, Oedipus's birth and all that kind of stuff. Oedipus at Colonus, which is when Oedipus dies, okay, made into a god, and then Antigone, because the action in Antigone, it's after. I mean, there's comments made about after, Oedipus is gone, okay? So, Antigone, Oedipus the king, Oedipus at Colonus, Oedipus the king, Oedipus at Colonus, Antigone is the order of the world within the play. Okay, so let's back up. What we saw the other day was Oedipus knows there's a plague upon the city, or he knows something's wrong. People are dying, cattle, produce is dying and such. He sent Creon to the Oracle of Delphi. I did not mention the other day that outside the Oracle of Delphi, there was a stone. This isn't myth. This was actual fact, okay? That outside the Oracle, there was a stone that had inscribed on it 2 words. Know thyself. Know who you are. Not your name, but really know yourself. Okay? The reason this is important is, one of the reasons this is important, the philosopher Socrates, not Sophocles, Socrates. This thing will not come off. Was told by the Oracle at Delphi, supposedly, that he's the wisest man in the world. Socrates says, nah, can't be true. So he goes about wandering from city to city and starts asking people questions to find the wisest person in the world. Okay? And what Socrates said was, I'm not the wisest person in the world. There's got to be somebody else out there. In Plato's whole set of dialogues of Sophocles, there's a book called The Dialogues of Plato, written by Plato, supposedly dialogues between Socrates and all these other people. They're all written to show that what the Oracle at Delphi said Okay, with the know thyself on the sign, and then in telling Socrates he's the wisest person in the world. So the dialogues are designed to show us that Socrates truly was the wisest person in the world, for the simple reason that he said, I'm not. I don't know anything. I have an inquisitive mind. I want to know. I want to learn. So why was he the wisest person in the world? What did he show? Humility. He showed humility. Okay? That's it, according to, that discussion. Why is this important? Because it relates to Sophocles and the character of Oedipus. Okay? Know thyself. Know who you are. Look inside. The other day I linked that idea, without actually even mentioning this, to minister's black veil. Why does he wear the black veil? Is it because he sees a black veil on everybody else, or is it because of this? And he wears the veil to show everyone else. They're wearing veils. They need to learn to see beyond, to turn internally. So, Crayon says there's been a murder. Whose murder? Oedipus asks, line 115, 116. Whose fate does Apollo bring to light? Okay? And one thing to kind of keep track of as you read through Oedipus the King, and then as we get to Antigone, are some themes and, or if you want, images. For example, light versus dark, sight versus blindness, knowledge versus ignorance. And with the verses, I don't mean, that they're fighting each other. It's light or dark. Seeing, goes there. Seeing versus not seeing. These are going to reverberate kind of all throughout the play, all right? So, notice, whose fate does Apollo bring to light? The indication is prior, this person's fate was hidden. Nobody knew about it. Our leader, my lord, was once a man named Laius. Before you came, he says, yeah, I've heard about that, but I've never met him. I never saw the man himself. What is that an example of? I think I put it on the board the other day. Dramatic irony, okay? He doesn't realize the truth of the words, or he doesn't realize he has seen him. So Crayon says, he was killed. Apollo commands us to find out the killer. Pay the killers back, whoever is responsible. Oedipus, where on earth are they? Where to find it now, the trail of the ancient guilt, so hard to trace. What does he mean, the ancient guilt? How long has it been since Laius was killed? A long time. Oedipus had a bunch of sons who were also his brothers, right? Because their mother was his mother, okay? He had a bunch of sons. By the time this play opens, they're all gone. They've left the house. They're in their 20s. We're going to find out at the beginning of this play that one of them comes back to Thebes to become king after growing up, after Oedipus leaves at the end of this play, okay? And then another one is going to attack Thebes because he wants to be king, okay? So before this play opens, two brothers/sons of Oedipus have killed themselves fighting for the throne, okay? Really screwed up family. Oh, just So, he calls it an ancient guilt. How are we going to figure out who the killer is? I mean, talk about cold case. This is a really cold case. So, Crayon says, you asked where on earth is the killer? Here. Apollo made that clear, right? That's why there's a plague. Whatever is sought for can be caught, you know. Whatever is neglected slips away, okay? So, Oedipus. But where? Notice what Oedipus wants from the oracle at Delphi. What he really wants. Give me the name, give me the address, and I'll go get the guy. In Greek tradition, as in many religious traditions, the gods never speak that clearly. They never tell you exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, who did what, etc. They give you little glimmers of information. So, notice Oedipus's responding question. When Crayon says, here in Thebes, where does Oedipus look first? By his words. But where? In the palace? And the audience is probably snickering. Because, yes, the fields or foreign soil. Interestingly, in one sense, all three of those are correct. Oedipus is currently in the castle, in the palace. When he was a baby, he was kind of in the fields, dropped off on the mountainside, and he was raised on foreign soil. He's been in all three, okay? But he's totally clueless as to what he's saying. Where did Laius meet his bloody death? That's what he's getting at. He's not getting at where's the killer. Is the killer now in the palace, in the fields, in foreign soil? He wants to know where the killer did the deed. Where did Laius die? But I think that's Sophocles kind of leading us when he asks, but where? And then gives us the three locations, and then finishes with, what's the real subject? That is, where did Laius die? By saying the but where, giving us the three locations, it sounds like he's replying to what Crayon said. Where's Laius' killer now? And then Oedipus says, palace, fields, and then he rephrases and adds to the question. Crayon. He went to consult an oracle, Apollo said. Set out, never came back again. Oedipus, nobody saw anything? Nobody heard anything? No, all killed but one. He escaped, terrified, could tell us nothing. Well, hey, take that back. He could tell us one thing. What? I mean, one thing, one little clue could be the solution. He said thieves attacked them. A whole band, not single-handed, cut King Laius down. Oedipus, a thief? Okay, Crayon just said what? Thieves, plural, is what the survivor said. Oedipus then says, a thief? So daring, so wild, he'd kill a king? Impossible, unless conspirators paid him off in Thebes. Oedipus is suggesting what? What's the phrase used in crime dramas and such? Inside job. Someone from within Thebes was involved with this. Okay? He says a thief, he implies a thief, a single killer, but with aid and assistance from people inside Thebes. Where did he get this idea? Anything Crayon said suggested this? Nope. Is he grasping at straws? Is he jumping to conclusions? Okay. So, Creon, yeah, we suspected as much. But with Laius dead, and no leader appeared to help us in our troubles. And so Oedipus is thinking, okay, wait, what troubles? Trouble? Your king was murdered. Royal blood. What stopped you from tracking down the killer? The Sphinx. It's like okay, not literally, this isn't literally what happens, but it's like the moment Laius drops dead, whoop, up pops the Sphinx. Okay? Think chronology, kind of what I mentioned the other day when I gave you the basic outline or the basic plot of the play. Oedipus meets his father on the road. Oedipus kills him. Oedipus keeps going down the road, and the road leads to Thebes. He gets to Thebes, there's the Sphinx blocking him. What did he do in the previous instance when he was blocked on the road? He removed the obstacle. He killed it. What does he do with the Sphinx? He removes the obstacle by answering the riddle. Okay? The Sphinx, she persuaded us to let the mystery go and concentrate on what lay at our feet. Oedipus, no, stop. I'll bring it all to light myself. Okay? Earlier he said, whose fate does Apollo bring to light? Now he says, I'll bring it to light. Kind of suggesting he's godlike. It doesn't take a god to bring this information to light. No, I'll bring it to light myself. Apollo is right, and so are you, Creon, to turn our attention back to the murdered man. Here's the difference. Now you have me to fight for you. That is, when Laius was killed, you didn't have me then to find out who killed Laius. Now you do. I am the land's avenger by all rights. Like, the land has been tormented by this death, and he's going to avenge the land. And Apollo's champion too, but not to assist some distant kinsman. No. What does he mean, some distant kinsman? He's not talking about Laius. Not at all. He's talking about this old notion, it's Indo-European, I think I've mentioned that term before. This old notion that if someone kills a member of your family, you're kind of duty-bound to get vengeance, to avenge that death. So he says, but this doesn't have to do with a distant kinsman. A fourth cousin 8 times removed kind of a thing. No, not to assist some distant kinsman, no, but for my own sake, I'll rid us of this corruption. But again, the audience is aware. Yeah, it is a distant kinsman. Maybe distant in time, but about as close a kinsman as he can get. Whoever killed the king may decide to kill me, too, with the same violent hand. By avenging Laius, I defend myself. Rational thinking, it's logical thinking. Why, if somebody attempts to assassinate a president, do we, with one exception, if the person is arrested, lock that person up for life? Because it's generally assumed, if they try to kill one, they might try to kill another. The one exception is John Hinckley. The guy who tried to assassinate Reagan was let out last year because it was thought he was, cured of whatever his mental illness was. So he's saying, by finding Laius's killer, I'm protecting myself. Okay? So he tells the chorus to get up. And the chorus has a big long speech. Okay? And they pray to Zeus. Great welcome voice of Zeus, what do you bring? What word from the gold vaults of Delphi comes to brilliant thieves? Racked with terror, terror shakes my heart, etc., etc. And then they call for Apollo, they call out to some of the other gods, etc. Okay? I'm going to skip most of the chorus's words. Bear in mind, however, that every time the chorus comes on the stage, you have two movements, and these are in your book. You have the strophe, S-T-R-O-P-H-E, and the antistrophe, right? These are movements across the stage. So the chorus comes in, and as they talk, they slowly walk across the stage talking, okay? And when they reach one side of the stage, they stop and turn and walk to the other side. That's the NT. They go back, okay? But the purpose of the chorus is to comment on what was said before. They're kind of giving us commentary. They're telling us, the audience, some of what that meant, but they're also leading us to what's going to come next, or the words that we're going to hear next. Okay? So Oedipus comes in again. He hears them praying. You pray to the gods? Let me grant your prayers. Yeah, it's a big no-no. He's saying, you pray to the gods, I can grant your prayers. Equating himself with the gods. All right? Another Greek play. Agamemnon. Okay? Agamemnon is about the Greek general who led in the Trojan War, led the Greeks against the Trojans. It was his brother, whose wife, Helen, was supposedly kidnapped by Hector. I think it was Hector. No, by Paris of Troy. All right? Before the Greeks could launch their ships, Poseidon had stopped the winds and did not allow, fair sailing. And word came to the character, Agamemnon, the general, you got to sacrifice your daughter. Sacrifice your daughter, you'll have fair winds and fair sailing for Troy. And he tried to say no. I really don't want to sacrifice my daughter. I love my daughter, blah, blah, blah. But he had to. And so he does. Literally sacrifice, kills his daughter. Okay? Wind comes up, fair sailing to Troy. Okay? He goes off to the Trojan War. He fights for 10 years. That's how long the Trojan War took. And then he comes back home. While he's fighting the Trojan War, his wife, her name is Clytemnestra. You don't need to remember that. His wife is, having an affair with his nephew, okay, who he's kind of left in charge. And she's really steamed. She is still steamed, angry that he killed her daughter. His daughter too, remember, okay? So, when she finds out he's on his way back, she hatches this plot. She's going to kill her husband. And one of the things that she does is part of this plot is when Agamemnon arrives at the port in a ship, he gets in a carriage, a chariot or something, and he rides towards their palace. And when he gets out of the chariot, Clytemnestra has had those of you who want to know how it's spelled, Clytemnestra has had the literal red carpet rolled out for him. From the palace door to his chariot, so that when he steps out of the chariot, he doesn't have to step on the bare earth. And he looks at that and he goes, no, I can't do that. She's like, Lord, you've had this great battle. You've won. You defeated the Trojans. You can step on the red carpet. What's the big deal about the red carpet? I don't watch them anymore. I don't watch any award stuff because to me they're all totally pointless. What do every award shows have? The Academies, the Grammys, the Tonys, the Emmys. They've got a red carpet. Who walks on the red carpet? The stars, the celebrities. Why? Okay. This red carpet thing, this is thousands of years old. It's an indication of divinity. Only in ancient Greek tradition, only the gods walked on red carpet. And the red carpet was rolled out when you knew a god was coming. Athena, Zeus, Apollo, and the gods walk on the red carpet. Okay? When Agamemnon agrees to his wife and steps on that red carpet, he might as well have just died right then and there. Okay? He does it because she's begging him to. He gives in to her. From the God's perspective, not good enough. Should have said no. Should have walked along the red carpet. Okay? He goes, by the way, he goes down the red carpet, goes into the palace, and she and her boyfriend, his nephew, kill him as he's getting ready to step into the bath. Okay? Another play, we'll talk about that later. Just a thing to give you how important it is from the perspective of the gods not to assume godlike qualities. When Oedipus says, I will answer your prayers, the way I kind of visualize it is the gods set the timer and the clock starts ticking at that point. He's a dead man, okay? He doesn't die by the end of this play. That happens here, right? So, listen to me, do what the plague demands, you'll find relief and lift your head from the depths. So he's going to start his oath. I will speak out now as a stranger to the story, a stranger to the crime. Okay? I'm speaking as a stranger, he says, to the story. I don't know anything about lies. I am as strange to the story as I am to the crime. I don't know who did it, etc., etc. But if I'd been present then, there would have been no mystery, no long hunt without a clue in hand. So now, counted a native Theban years after the murder, notice he's saying, the people in Thebes call me a native Theban. Why? They don't know his true history. They're calling him a native Theban because he's been king for so long. Okay? He says, to all of Thebes I make this proclamation. If any one of you knows who murdered Laius, the son of Labdacus, I order him to reveal the whole truth. Nothing to fear, even if he must denounce himself. Let him speak up and so escape the brunt of the charge. All right? You're not going to die. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to torture you. No. He will suffer no unbearable punishment. Nothing worse than exile. Just fess up. Tell me you did it. And you'll go live in another town. That's it. He pauses. Nobody speaks up. Bear in mind, the chorus kind of stands in for the entire city-state. So if nobody in the chorus speaks up, that means nobody in the state, city knows. Next. So he's given them one opportunity. Nobody's spoken up. If anyone knows the murderer is a stranger, a man from alien soil, speak up. I'll give him a handsome reward. And I'll lay up gratitude in my heart for him. Okay? No takers there. But if you keep silent, if anyone panicking, trying to shield himself or friend or kin rejects my offer, then hear what I will do. Here's what's going to happen. Every citizen of the state where I hold throne and power, banish this man. It doesn't mean all the citizens and everybody walks him out to the city gates and kicks him out. It means you banish this person from your presence. You banish him from your home. You banish him from your business. All right? The person will have no life in this town. Never shelter him, never speak a word to him, never make him partner to your prayers, your victims burn to the gods. Never let the holy water touch his hands. Drive him out, each of you, from every home. He is the plague, the heat of our corruption. So I honor my obligations. I fight for the God and for the murdered man. Okay? Audience, remember, knows exactly who he is. Now my curse on the murderer. So that is for the people who aren't the murderer. For the murderer, whoever he is, a lone man unknown in his crime, or one among many. Why does he do that? Why does he say a lone man or one among many? What did Crayon already tell us? Not even that there might be. Crayon says the person who survived said, thieves, plural. Why does Oedipus, this is the second time now, come back and suggest, well, maybe it was only one? Is this a so-called Freudian slip? That has nothing to do with sex in this instance, but a Freudian slip in that something in his own subconscious is making its way out? Don't know. So, here's what's going to happen. My curse on the murderer. Let that man drag out his life in agony, step by painful step. I curse myself as well. If by any chance he proves to be an intimate of our house here at my hearth, with my full knowledge, may the curse I just called down on him strike me. And that's where the audience just, their eyes get huge. Because that's probably new to the story. That's probably, I think, could be entirely wrong. That's probably something that Sophocles goes, oh, this will be a nice twist. Okay? So what's he just said? Let him live his life in agony, step by step, painful step. Guess what? That is exactly how Oedipus lives his life. From the moment of his recognition in this play, when he fully realizes, I am the man I'm searching for. Ooh, that means Mom is my wife, or my wife is my mother, and my children are my siblings. Okay? From that moment until the end of this play, and Oedipus lives a long life, characterized entirely by suffering. At the end of this play, the gods kind of come in and speak and say, no one has ever suffered as much as Oedipus. We ought to make him like us. We ought to. He's gone beyond the human limit of suffering, and they make him into a god. They raise him to Olympus. As if the gods really, in the Greek system, as if the gods really know anything about suffering. Because they don't. I mean, they get angry. They suffer jealousy, things like that. But not physical suffering. Okay? So, and he says, in fact, I'll curse myself if by any chance he's an intimate of our house. That is, He lives in the palace. If with my full knowledge this happens, then may the curse I just, called down on him strike me. So, there's your orders. Find the murderer. For my sake, for Apollo's, for this country, I command you. Even if God had never urged you on to act, how could you leave the crime uncleansed so long? Notice, that takes the whole idea of the pain and suffering in Thebes out of the equation. Oedipus is asking, really, why didn't you try to find Laius' murderer long before? Because he's thinking of himself here. What's going to happen if I get killed? Are they just going to ignore my death and wait till somebody else? A man so noble, your king, brought down in blood, you should have searched, but I am the king now. I hold the throne that he held then, possess his bed, and a wife who shares our seed. Again, totally oblivious to everything he is saying. Why, our seed might be the same. Children born of the same mother might have created blood bonds between us if his hope of offspring had not met disaster. What does Oedipus really mean? Laius might have had sons and daughters. And my sons and daughters would therefore have been what? Half brothers, half sisters with them. Well, yes, and more so, right? I mean, when you start to think of incest and all that, it just, it spirals out of control. But fate swooped at his head and cut him short. So I will fight for him as if he were my father. And there's got to be chuckling probably going on at some points in the audience. Stop at nothing, search the world, lay my hands on the man who shed his blood, the son of Labdacus, descendant of Polydorus, Cadmus of old, Agenor, founder of the line. O dear gods, my curse on those who disobey these orders. And by saying, oh dear gods, he's just made his oath holy, so to speak. He's now swearing by the gods. Okay? So, the leader, in the grip of your curse, my king, I'm not the murderer. Okay, so don't go there, nor can I point him out. But for the search, he's you overstepped a little bit there. We did look for him. Okay? Apollo pressed it on us. He should name the killer. Notice what the leader is really saying. Oedipus, you need to go challenge Apollo. You need to go to Apollo and say, fess up. You know who the killer is. Tell us. Oedipus, quite right. But to force the gods to act against their will, no man has the power. Quite right. You're right. Apollo should tell us. But I can't force him to. But by saying Apollo should tell us, what's he telling us about what he thinks about Apollo? If he should tell us and he isn't, then what does that mean? Who's in the right and who's in the wrong? Apollo's in the wrong. Oedipus is casting a moral judgment. No, you don't cast moral judgments on the gods. Leader, okay, so if you agree, then maybe I should suggest the next best thing. He goes, keep going. Tiresias, line 322. Lord Tiresias sees with the eyes of Lord Apollo. Anyone searching for the truth might learn from the prophet. Oedipus, 2 steps ahead of you. Okay? So, Tiresias. not a character invented by Sophocles, another character who goes back in ancient Greek myth. Okay? Homer has Tiresias in the Odyssey. I don't remember if he's in the Iliad, but he's definitely in the Odyssey. In the Odyssey, when the character Odysseus goes to the underworld, Hades, and speaks with spirits of the dead, he sees Tiresias there. Okay? And this is long before Oedipus, okay? Long before Sophocles, too. Homer's writing probably 300 years, it's assumed, before Sophocles. So Tiresias is an image and a figure that kind of resonates in Greek literature. One thing to always bear in mind about Tiresias, he's a prophet. Okay? Think like Old Testament prophet. And he's never been wrong. Okay? Never. Not once. And as with the Old Testament prophets, one could not be considered an Old Testament prophet if one prophesied something about the future and was wrong. You always had to be right. See, prophet meant two things. You were a truth teller, that's an O, and you were a foreteller. That is, you told the truth as it exists now, you revealed the truth as it exists now, and you revealed something that would happen in the future. So it wasn't only, prognosticating what's going to happen down the road. It was also, to use a phrase today that's wildly abused, speaking truth to power, here and now, okay? Again, Tiresias was never wrong. So, Oedipus, 2 steps ahead of you. I've already sent for him. We need him, Lord. Without him, we have nothing but old, useless rumors, line 329. Oedipus, what rumors? Creon didn't mention any rumors. Laius was killed, they say, by travelers. Again, notice the language. Laius was killed, they say, by certain, what's the next word? Travelers, plural. Look at Oedipus's response. I know, but no one can find the murderer. Singular. Why? Is Oedipus suggesting that even if you have a group of people, there's only one person who actually does the killing? Like, you can have 20 people stab somebody, but one person actually delivered the death, blow? I don't think so. I think he's saying, now one person killed the king. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on in his mind, so to speak. Leader. If the man has a trace of fear in him, he won't stay silent long, not with your curses. Oedipus, he didn't flinch at murder. He's not going to flinch at words. Okay? So Tiresias comes in, led by a boy, the leader. This one, Tiresias, will convict him. Tiresias's words will make the killer reveal himself. So, look at Oedipus's words of welcome, introduction to Tiresias. And just kind of hold them in your mind for a few minutes. Because within about 5 minutes, he's going to be singing a different tune. O Tiresias, master of all the mysteries of our life, all you teach and all you dare not tell, signs in the heavens, signs that walk the earth. Blind as you are, sight versus blindness, okay? Tiresias is physically blind. Spiritually, you could say, he's got 20/20 vision. I mean, he sees clearer than anybody else. So, blind as you are, you can feel all the more what sickness haunts our city. You, my Lord, are the one shield, the one Savior we can find. We asked Apollo he sent his answer back. He says what Apollo says. So he says, now, so I beg you, grudge us nothing now, no voice, no message plucked from the birds, the embers. Rescue yourself, your city, me, rescue everything. We're in your hands. Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, kind of a. Tiresias, how terrible to see the truth when the truth is only pain to him who sees. His first words are what? Explain what he just said. They're a riddle. Just like when Oedipus addresses Creon, when Creon first comes in, Creon says something and Oedipus is like, what? He's the riddle master, and he can't figure out what they mean. How terrible to see the truth when the truth is only pain to him who sees. Tiresias is telling us, the truth I see, it's going to cause me pain. Okay? One meaning. Another meaning, or maybe it's both of these. Once you see Oedipus, the pain you're going to feel. I knew it well, but I put it from my mind, else I never would have come. What? Why so grim, so dire? Just send me home. You bear your burdens, I'll bear mine. It's better that way. Just he who to see the truth when the truth is only pain to him and sees, to him who sees. Just send me home. I don't want to. Strange response. Unlawful. Why unlawful? Because Oedipus is the law in his mind. Well, and in Greek society. The king was the law. I mean, the king said, jump, how high, O Lord? Unfriendly, too, to the state that bred and reared you, you withhold the word of God. In other words, you know the answer, but you won't tell us. I fail to see, notice the figure of speech. I fail to see that your words are so well timed. I'd rather not have the same thing said of me. And what he's alluding to there is kind of dramatic irony. He's kind of saying, you don't see what your words mean. What's meant by see in that sense? Perceive, understand. For the love of God, don't turn away, because when he says don't turn away, that is giving us an idea of what is happening on the stage. After Tiresias said, I'd rather not have the same thing said of me, ... He turns and he starts to walk away. Oedipus, don't turn away. Not if you know something. We beg you, all of us, on our knees. Now, that might indicate, again, might be a stage direction through dialogue that Oedipus drops to his knees in front of Tiresias. I think it means when he says that, the chorus definitely does. None of you knows, and I will never reveal my dreadful secrets, not to say your own. Why does he say not to say your own? Why not just finish with, I will never reveal my dreadful secrets? I'm going to put on my black veil. It's a subtle hint. I know something about you, Oedipus. And I'll keep quiet. Just let me go. What? You know and you won't tell? Yeah, knowledge versus ignorance. You're bent on destroying us, betraying us, destroying Thebes. I'd rather not cause pain for you or me. Right? Because if he causes pain in his mind, if he causes pain for Oedipus, what's going to happen? Yeah, Oedipus is going to cause more pain for him. So, why this useless interrogation? You'll get nothing from me. Nothing, you scum of the earth. O Tiresias, master of all the mysteries of our life, all you teach and all you dare not tell, signs in the heavens, signs that walk the earth, you can feel all the more, you scum of the earth. There seems to be a little bit of a disconnect between what Oedipus was saying just a couple minutes before and what he's saying now. You'd enrage a heart of stone. You won't talk. Nothing moves you. Out with it. You criticize my temper. Long pause. Unaware of the one you live with. You revile me. Who could restrain his anger hearing you? Has Oedipus heard that last line? Unaware of the one you live with, you revile me? What's Tiresias saying there? He looks at Oedipus and he's full of what? What word do we get that derives from revile? Revulsion. It's the kind of thing you look at something and it makes your stomach turn. Tiresias looks at Oedipus and he wants to vomit. Okay? What will come will come. What does that mean? There's one word for that. Fate. Fate. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. No matter what you attempt. What will come even if I shroud it all in silence. Now, Tiresias is telling us there, even if I don't say a word, what eventually will happen? Reversal and recognition. Oedipus is going to come to understand the truth. If Tiresias doesn't reveal it, it will be revealed another way. Why? Because it is fated to happen. What will come? Come on, at least give me that. I will say no more. Do as you like. Build your anger to whatever pitch you please. Rage your worst. Oedipus, I'll let loose. I have such fury in me, dash. And what does he do during the dash? Up here. What's the very next thing Oedipus suggests? I see it now. Now I see it all. You helped hatch the plot. What plot? To murder Laius. You were involved. You did, short of killing him with your own hands, given eyes, I'd say you did it. Notice, he's not just blind. When he says given eyes, I think what Oedipus is telling us is Tiresias was born without eyes. Thus the blindness, right? Notice what the response is. Notice how Oedipus knows how to get a response from Tiresias. He presses the right buttons. Is that so? So you're going to accuse me now? I charge you then, submit to that decree you just laid down. From this day onward, speak to no one, not these citizens, not myself. You are the curse, the corruption of the land. Now, what hasn't he literally said? Keep going. He's the one who murdered Laius. He doesn't say at that point, literally, you are the murderer of Laius. He just says, you're the one. You're the curse. Shameless. You think you can get it? What does Oedipus think Tiresias is doing? Louder? Yes. He's trying to shift the blame. Okay? And Oedipus isn't going to have any of it. All right, we will stop there, and we will pick up with about line 404. Remember, you've got a quiz due, if I'm thinking the right class, tomorrow night over Flannery O'Connor, and then exam due on Friday.